I want to talk to you now about the 10,000 hour rule. This was made famous by Malcolm Gladwell in his book Outliers. And it talks about taking approximately 10,000 hours for anybody to master a complex new skill. Now, if you look at weightlifting as a fairly complex skill and we apply that principle, I want to share with you a moment some of the stats that I've put behind me, and this will maybe get you thinking a little bit about how long it's going to take you to achieve your overall lifting potential. Now, I've used a formula here, X times 52 weeks of the year. So that's the number of hours that you practice per week, times 52 weeks of the year will give you Y. Then we've got 10,000 hours divided by Y, so that's however many hours there are in the year that you're practicing, and that will tell you Z, which will be your the number of years for you to achieve mastery in terms of a new skill. So here, let's take a look. If you are training 4 hours a week, for example, that's going to take you, when we put that into the equation, so 4 times 52, 10,000 divided by that, it's going to give you 48 years. So before we go any further, just take a minute now to work out approximately how many hours that you as an individual are training per week, trying to master a new skill such as weightlifting. Put that number into this. Now I'm going to give you a few stats here. If I stand clear of the board, hopefully you can see them. 6 hours is going to take you 32 years. 8 hours, 24 years. 10 hours a week training, 19 years. 12 hours, 16 years. And I've put this one in red because this is where I reckon that I was throughout the bulk of my career. When I average things out, obviously at the start of my career, I probably didn't spend that much time practicing compared to when I was more serious and training fairly full time. And here I would say on average, I was training between 2 and 4 hours a day, 5-6 days a week. So I'm just going to average it and keep the figures quite simple and say 3 hours a day times by 5 days a week. And that gave me my 15. That's where I came up with that number. So for me, I'll be looking at taking 13 years to achieve my potential in terms of mastery of the sport. And I've put down a number here, 30. That was a number that I got from, say, what we hear some of the Chinese lifters doing, where they're spending on average about 6 hours a day in the gym. And we call it, let's call it 5 days a week. We know they're training probably 6 days a week. Based on 30 hours a week, they're only going to take 6.5 hours to achieve their lifting potential. Now, I think that says an awful lot. If you take a young lifter from a country where they train full time from quite a young age and they put the hours into the gym and work on all areas regarding weightlifting, not just the snatch, the cleans, the jerk, but all of the prerequisite exercises, plus all of the conditioning movements as well, then I'm reckoning if somebody starts at, say, the age of 12, 13, they're going to be a master in the sport before they even hit senior ranks. Compare that to Joe Bloggs, who trains maybe just a few hours a week. The chances are they're never going to achieve their potential. Now, if we look at the numbers that I've come up with, I did a few calculations myself, and 13 years to achieve potential. Well, I started the sport when I was 13 years of age, and I think I hit my peak when I was 26. So actually, for me, those numbers worked pretty much spot on. Now, that's all very well, but there are there's some scrutiny over the 10,000 hour rule, and I want to share some of that with you so as not for you to go away disheartened, because for some of you listening to this and looking at these numbers might be thinking, oh my God, there's no point in me even trying because I'm never going to achieve it. Now, one thing is for sure, that rate of improvement is going to be rapid when you start out in a sport. So expect for you to make significant gains over the first few months, the first few years of training. That is inevitable. Getting those last few percent is where it takes the big time. Now, there's also a few criticisms I just want to share for you to consider and hopefully get you leaving this blog or video, depending on how you're reading or watching this, a little bit more positive. The study that was done about this 10,000 hour rule was not scientific. It was very much an oversimplified study and a big generalization. It didn't at any point take into concern genetics. Now, we all know that some people will naturally be better at something than others, and that's evident by twins. You compare identical twins and one will be able to do something better than the other. That's normal. Now, What it also doesn't factor in is age. Research has shown that somebody who starts a sport or a skill at a younger age has a period of time when they will pick up and develop those new skills far quicker. So you compare somebody who starts when they are very young as a child, compare that to someone who starts in their mid-20s, early 30s. That younger child is going to pick up and acquire those new skills far quicker than somebody a little bit older. What this doesn't factor in as well is quality versus quantity. It's all very well, anybody can go into the gym and live in a gym, but what you do in the gym is absolutely critical. More isn't always best, we know that. You can go in there and slog your guts, but if you're doing it badly, you're never going to achieve your potential, you're never going to progress and develop. So we could compare somebody who is self-taught, clearly that person is going to take far longer to acquire new skills, compare that to someone who's being coached by an experienced coach. That person you would expect to eradicate problems and learn well quickly and make progress quicker. So quality over quantity is obviously something that needs to be considered. Now, if you think you are getting amazing coaching, then wonderful. The chances are you are going to hit your potential a lot quicker than somebody who might be self-taught and is picking up bad habits and then having to relearn them and so on. What research has shown are that emotions play a huge part in somebody achieving their potential. So if you as an individual are driven, if a goal, if something that you're working towards really excites you, then that emotion for getting in the gym, I'm using the gym as an example, but this could apply to any skills. The emotion, if something means something to you, you are far more likely to want to practice, to want to develop, and to want to achieve your potential. That, I think, is linked quite closely to motivation. If that goal, whatever it is for you, excites you, if you are highly motivated by whatever goals that you have set yourself as an individual, you are far more likely to work your backside off, to work hard, to really progress session by session, week by week, month, year on year, for you to achieve your absolute potential. And one thing that is neglected is mental practice. This is hugely powerful. There will be times where maybe you are unable to train, when you are physically unable to do something, but the time that you also spend thinking about what you want to do and mental rehearsal and mental practice is hugely powerful. And it's been known that athletes in the past across different sports, when they've been injured, have been able to apply the psychological skills that they've learned through the sport to enable them to go on and perform really well when they do rehab from injury. So don't neglect how important the psychological aspect and the power of the mind can be. Regardless of whether you think this 10,000 hour rule works, whether you think this is accurate for you, hopefully you're thinking, nah man, I can do that quicker. Of course, many people will. This is an average number. Some people took longer. Some people took a lot less time. So hopefully you're going to be one of the people that takes a little bit less time because you're watching this, you're motivated, you want to improve, you're getting good coaching and you're making good gains. One thing that is agreed, regardless of what you read or who you speak to, is that to excel in anything, to develop and master a skill, to be absolutely competent in what you are doing and for you to achieve your potential will take a tremendous amount of time and practice. There is no excuse for hard work. There is nothing that is going to get you to that end goal apart from putting the hours in with focused time and dedication. So this is Malcolm Gladwell's theory, the 10,000 hour rule. I've given you some numbers on there. I've also hopefully debunked a few of those myths. I hope you've enjoyed this. Give some consideration to how much time you're putting in, but at the end of the day, the more time you put in and practice, the quicker you're going to achieve your potential.